What's going on, people? Welcome to another Emotion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we're going to do some talking. So, Bills Dolphins is on. I'm not doing a watch along for the game as of now. I have it on in front of me. So, if anything happens, we can briefly talk about it. But today, I came to talk about some important talking points. We're 2 weeks into the NFL. And there's a bunch of things I realized that I maybe had wrong about teams, players, coaches, organizations as a whole. So I came here to do some fact checking on myself, to point out some of the things that I've definitely changed my opinions on a few weeks into the year now, or 2 weeks into the year. So we're going to go through that. We're going to preview week 3. So that's what we're going to do. And then at the end of that, if this game looks good, then we might turn this into a watch along, right? But I'm assuming we'll get about an hour and a half into talking what I came to talk about. And we'll see where we go from there. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. A whole little animation thing here. Where is it? Yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to support content on YouTube. We're on the road to 250 subs. So love to make that happen before the regular season. But without further ado, let's get into the talking points. So the first thing I learned I was wrong about is Shane Steichen not being a good head coach. So my thoughts about Shane Steichen were this. I thought he was a very good play caller that's well established. His tenure as offensive coordinator in Philadelphia and the Chargers, I don't know if they were in San Diego or LA at the time, but his Chargers and Eagles stints, I think, were very good. He was super successful. And I think both organizations missed him immediately after leaving. The Eagles fired Brian Johnson a year into being the offensive coordinator. Justin Herbert never really looked the same. So I think the guy had a really good resume. He went to Indianapolis, and his inability to get anything from the quarterback, to me, and not only that, but his handling of Flacco versus AR, to me, that indicated somebody who maybe was struggling with the whole head coach aspect of things when it comes to being a leader, being a culture setter, setting the tone, all of those kind of things. So that was those were the roots of my hesitation when it comes to Shane Steichen. What I'm learning now, after the fact, is that I think Anthony Richardson was just the problem. I think Shane Steichen had 3 quarterbacks: Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco, and AR. What we're realizing is that 2 of those guys were bad fits for his offense, and one of those guys was just not good. If you think about the Chargers and the Eagles, they gave him Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. Aside from those 2 quarterbacks being good players, those are 2 players that have a good amount of mobility and can at least be some type of a threat. Joe Flacco is not that player. Gardner Minshew is not that player. Anthony Richardson is, but unfortunately, I think Anthony Richardson is a different level of bad. So I think we're seeing with Daniel Jones, he's somebody who is a mobile threat. And he's somebody who's, look, he's not good, but he's not horrible either. I think everything we saw about him being horrible in New York, a big part of that was the offensive line. In Indy, he has a functional offensive line. And again, he's still not a good player, but he's clearly a better fit for Shane Steichen than both of those quarterbacks. Now, that big thing at play for me is the fact that it looks like the Colts are playing really hard for Shane Steichen, and they're firmly behind the coach. To me, the good indication there is that in the process of not having good quarterbacks, he was still able to keep his team together, and he was still able to command the respect of the team. That's a really big thing for me. Again, I think he could have lost his team in the first 2 years. With what happened at the quarterback position. I think in bringing in Daniel Jones, that's a bold call. You could lose your team. I think the fact that he has his team playing good ball is more than just the X's and O's. It's just the fact that he didn't lose the players. To me, that means that he has some type of a connection with the players, that he's commanded their respect one way or another. And those are the things that I think players that are good tacticians can struggle with when they become a head coach, because so much of head coaching is our interpersonal dynamics, and that becomes tricky for fans because we don't have any access to the team. We don't have any access to the team or anything behind the scenes, so we might not necessarily know what's going on. So you kind of have to look at what's going on with the team and read the tea leaves. And if you read the tea leaves with the Colts, Shane Steichen seems to be in a good place with the players. Oh shit, King, I saw that you're backstage. Yo, I'll bring you in for the preview section. I'm just gonna rant and ramble throughout the things I was wrong about, and then I'll tap you in during the, or like I'll tag you in during the previews. My bad, I didn't see you, bro. Okay, the second thing I was wrong about, Aaron Glenn won't have a bad defense. So going into the year, I looked at the New York Jets roster and I was like, hey, I don't think they have a lot of good players on defense, but there's no way that Aaron Glenn comes in with bad players because one, he's a defensive head coach, and head coaches tend to like think about their unit before the other unit. That's a typical trend. And then the other thing is just I have so much respect for what Aaron Glenn did in Detroit. Whether he had his players or not through injury or whatever, he always was able to get, I think, a high level of, or just at least an adequate level of performance of whatever with whatever he had. So he goes to the Jets, his first stint as a head coach, and I thought to myself, these players that I don't know anything about, they must be good. They must be good because there's no way Aaron Glenn would show up with bad players. That's what I thought. But I'm watching this Jets team, and the defense is just god awful. And if you honestly think that I might be wrong about this, or the early season trends are not accurate to who they are, and they might change over time, look at it this way. They traded for 3 defensive tackles the last week before the season started. Not even particularly good 3 defensive tackles, but their whole defensive tackle room was so bad that they brought in a complete, like literally, I think they roster 4 players. They brought in 3, everybody but Quinnen Williams, right before the season. So that was kind of my first red flag. I was like, whoa, somebody really messed up, because there's no way that that's the plan. There is no way that's the plan for any team. To have to replace a whole position group right before the year starts. So that was kind of, yeah, like I said, that was my first red flag. Then I saw how they played against Pittsburgh, and I thought, you know what? That's a really discouraging sign, but maybe it's week 1. Then I saw how they played against the Bills. And I think to myself that, no, this defense is just bad as it looks. And Aaron Glenn, of course, he's not Superman. But again, I just figured that there's no way he's going to do this to the team. But he did. So that's a complete surprise to me. Yo, bro, I know someone you could talk to and collaborate about the NFL. They live in London and they're watching a game right now. Do you know live watch song? Both you would cook. Who is it? I would definitely be interested, man. Let me know who you're talking about, if you can. I'm assuming you can. But yeah, appreciate you, Rasta Stocks. Good to see you. Where was I? Oh yeah. But yeah, Aaron Glenn, I just thought that there's no way he's going to walk into his first year as a head coach with a shaky offense for sure and just have a bad defense. But that's happening, and I kind of can't believe it. The third thing that I was wrong about, the Steelers and the Broncos have offensive lines and defenses that will carry them, that will carry the rest of their teams. So I had to lump these together because I actually had similar thoughts of both these teams. I'll start with the Steelers, right? I looked at their team and I at no point was under the illusion that they would have a dynamic passing attack. Absolutely not. You have an aging Aaron Rodgers and you have lackluster passing targets as a whole, right? Like you have DK Metcalf, that's great, but everything outside of DK Metcalf is nothing special. So I was under no impression that that would be a big part of their team. What I thought was that their defense would be really good. And the thing about their offensive line and the running back position is that they have young talent that I thought was good, or I thought was supposed to be good, right? Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones, and I think there's another player. I think there's another guard. And then you add Caleb Johnson to that as well. And I figure I'm like, okay, there's a handful of good players that I think, even if they don't all pan out, enough will be gotten from that group where they're going to have a functional running game. And I thought about that running game being paired with the defense. And I thought, you know what? You're playing 2 tight ends because you have Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth. You have a good running game. You can do run play action. Your defense is going to play good. And the way I thought I saw Pittsburgh was very much like the late Tom Brady teams where the defense is balling, and it's not like Brady was lighting it up for 200-300 yards. But Brady was, I think, peak Tampa Bay, or like not peak Tampa Bay. The only couple years he was there in Tampa Bay, he was throwing for like 200 yards a game. I thought Rodgers would have those kind of passing games. And again, I'm thinking about Caleb Johnson, not saying he's similar to Leonard Fournette, but he would kind of be that kind of player in the offense. But I was wrong on both accounts. The offensive line does not look good, and the defense does not look good. Do you have a Twitter? I do have a Twitter. I'm gonna throw my Twitter account in the chat right now. I appreciate you, bro. You said drop the link. Yo, I'm gonna drop the link for the game previews. I'm just gonna rant and ramble about my thoughts and opinions about everything that I had wrong. And then I'll tag you and King in when I do the game previews after this. Shout out to you, brother. Good to see you in the chat. But yeah, so that's me with Pittsburgh. When I look at Denver, I thought both things almost to a higher level because Denver last year defensively was statistically one of the best defenses. Not only just stats, eye test as well. Where they kind of went wrong is that they didn't have much depth. So whenever they would have injuries, the drop-off would be really serious. So again, this is a defense that's able to have some of the best statistics, but at the same time, Jameis Winston threw for like 400 yards against them. So I saw that was the state of their defense, and then they added Hufanga and Greenlaw. So I noticed that they added to the defense, and I thought to myself, like, that defense is shaping up to be really, really good. They have a lot of good players, and they drafted the corner from Texas, Jahdae Barron. So between Jahdae, James Cook is breaking a run. Between Jahdae Barron, what's his name? Hufanga and Greenlaw, I thought that they were going to add to their defense and their defense would take off again, won't be one of the best defenses in football. Similarly, with their offensive line, so yeah, with their offensive line, I thought it's in an even better position than Pittsburgh's because Pittsburgh has a bunch of prospects that I thought would show their upside. Denver actually had a good offensive line last year. They have good established players that make good money. And whatever they had at running back last year, I think it was Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. They upgraded those two spots by getting J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. Yo, my God, Josh Allen is a madman. That little flick to Ray Davis was crazy. So I'm looking at their running backs. I'm looking at their offensive line, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really love Bo Nix as a prospect. I thought he was going to hit a sophomore slump for sure. But I thought that would be mitigated by their offensive line and their running backs, creating a ground game that sustained the offense. And what I'm learning is I don't think that's going to be the case. So these two teams, forwarded to the person. Okay. True. Damn, I didn't know that would happen. Let me do that right now. Copy link to profile. Where's the YouTube chat? Yo, my Twitter is hella inactive, by the way. Like, super inactive. But I still will respond to it, obviously. Like, I use the account. I just don't post anymore. Big up to you, though. Appreciate it. But yeah, I feel very similar about both these teams. Like, their offensive lines and between Bo Nix and those Denver weapons that I don't think are especially good, and then Aaron Rodgers plus the Pittsburgh weapons that I don't think are especially good, I thought both the teams had the same weakness. I just thought that the weaknesses would be compensated for by, again, good O-line play, good running games, and a good defense. And I was wrong on both accounts. Both these teams, I think, look like okay teams right now, and their only potential to getting better is these two things getting better, the offensive line and the defense, because neither team, I think, has the potential to become a great passing attack. It has to be these two things. But yeah, I was wrong about both these things. Next thing I was wrong about is that the Falcons rookies will need time to impact the defense. So if you've been living under a rock, Atlanta's defense has 4 rookies that are making an impact. They got Jalen Walker and James Pierce, 2 edge rushers that they drafted in the first round. And then they have Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts. Billy Bowman plays the slot corner. Xavier Watts plays safety. So they have 4 rookies in their defense that are all playing well. And I knew before the year that those guys are all good players, but I thought, as with most rookies, they're going to need time to actually become impactful NFL players. Had I known that they would be impactful NFL players right away, I would have been higher on Atlanta. I'm not saying that all of a sudden Atlanta is some great team, but the point is that whatever they are now, they have the potential to get even better as the year goes on. And if you have 4 pieces in the defense that are starting out good and could potentially get better, that sets up Atlanta's defense pretty nicely. We know Raheem Morris, as a defensive guy, knows how to call a defense. So my outlook on Atlanta changes quite a bit when you incorporate the possibility for them to have a pretty good defense. Because between having, again, I talked about it with Pittsburgh and Denver, I believe in teams that have a running game and a defense. I can have questions about your passing attack, but if you give me a running game and a defense, I'm thinking you get 9 wins as a baseline. Bill Player Shavers has got to be a slam dunk sponsor for Shaver. Oh, absolutely, man. He should get a deal. I'm gonna follow you back once the stream is done. We believe in Drake and Josh London. Yeah, no, hey, the weapons in Atlanta in the passing game are definitely a problem, but the defense and the running backs are not. But again, man, in the impactful positions too, you have 2 pass rushers and a slot corner and a safety. That's a very significant talent infusion on one side of the ball. A lot of people remember the year that Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara were rookies in the same draft class, and they just completely changed the Saints offense, right? Last year, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, 2 rookies, completely changed the Eagles defense, right? These have 2 players on each side of the sides of the ball. 4 rookies playing in one defense and balling at the same time is ridiculous. So, man, Atlanta had a crazy draft class, and we're going to monitor this because, again, they're rookies, so, things can still happen. Oh, my goodness. Dolphins got another injury to their secondary? They just don't have cornerbacks. Do you think Kirk will be icy again? I would think he'll be icy on the bench, as in he's going to get cold, as in he's not going to play. I think that's the only icy he's going to get. But yeah, again, I knew these Falcons rookies were good prospects. Like I think Pittsburgh's offensive line has good prospects, but prospects going from, prospective talents to established talents is a very up in the air transition. And hey, Atlanta has gotten very lucky with those 4 players, sorry. So going to transition from Atlanta to Carolina, the team they play this week. Another thing I was wrong about is I was wrong about Dave Canales. Whoa, what the hell is a heck coach? Let me fix this typo, people. I was wrong about Dave Canales figuring out how to be a head coach at the end of last year. So I talked about it with Shane Steichen at the beginning of this stream. Being a head coach is distinctly different from being, oh my God, are more Dolphins secondary players getting smoked? Yeah, you're right. You're right, General. He basically did a Kelsey. Who is this guy, Bonner? Oh my God, we got exciting whites in the Dolphin secondary. My goodness, this is good. This game is going to be belt to ass. But yeah, so I talked about it with Steichen. Being a coach and an offensive coordinator are 2 very different things. And Dave Canales, getting his first head coaching job, you never really know what category he's going to fall into. He has no head coaching experience. He steps into the team last year, and things look really bad at the beginning of the year before getting better towards the end. So at that point, I think to myself, hey, this guy in year 1 probably got over the hill of figuring out how to become a head coach. It's a very difficult thing. I think a good situation to talk about when describing the difficulty of this is Nick Sirianni, because Nick Sirianni, an offensive head coach, came from Indy to Philadelphia. And initially he was a play caller for, I believe, 10 weeks. And after 10 weeks, he decided to quit being the play caller, ironically, giving the responsibilities to Shane Steichen, because he felt like he could not do his head coaching responsibilities while also thinking about calling plays. So he had to separate the roles. This is a very big transition. Dave Canales is a play caller. He's in Carolina because of his offensive tactics. But again, if you're too lost with being lost in being a play caller, you're going to neglect your responsibilities as a head coach. And I think about how bad Carolina's played so far this year, and I can't escape the feeling that he's falling into that same category of an excellent play caller that cannot fulfill all the duties of being a head coach and all the responsibilities of a head coach, because he has to be a play caller. I cannot believe that Carolina got blown out by Jacksonville. I don't think Jacksonville is a bad team by any means, but I do not think Carolina should be getting blown out. And I cannot believe how bad they played against the Cardinals, another team that I don't think is very good at all. So it's just one of those things where I'm looking at Dave Canales and I think that, hey, bro, this head coach thing might not be for you. And I think if he gets fired as a head coach, he's going to be an amazing offensive coordinator for somebody. But I don't know if this head coaching thing is for him. I'm sorry, what the hell was that field goal? Yo, I missed it. I was looking straight, so I missed the field goal. What happened? I'll have to look for it on my phone. Nick Caserio had a plan for the Texans offensive line. This is another thing I was wrong about, right? And part of what I talked about when I talked about Aaron Glenn and the Jets was when I saw that the Jets defense looked ass, my first thought wasn't that I know better than Aaron Glenn. I gave Aaron Glenn the benefit of the doubt. I did the same thing with Nick Caserio. Nick, oh my God, that Bills punter does look like Bill Burr. When I saw the Texans offensive line, the first thing I thought was, my goodness, this offensive line looks garbage. But I think Nick Caserio is a pretty good GM and just generally a good evaluator of talent. So my initial thought was actually not that, hey, I know better than Nick Caserio. My first thought was, he must know something I don't. Surely he has a plan. Surely he has an idea of some type of tactics that could get the best out of what he has. Maybe Ariante Ursary is just a diamond in the rough. Maybe a positional change for Juice Scruggs or Patterson. Somebody had a positional change. Maybe that's going to unlock something. Maybe a change of scenery for, I think it's Ingram. Ed Ingram, I think, from Minnesota. Maybe a change of scenery for him is going to unlock something. But all of those things didn't happen. The Texans' offensive line is horrible, and it is the single reason that this team is not a threat, in my opinion. I think if they had an offensive line, they had a chance to be a threat. But that's not the case. And it's just neglectful. Again, Aaron Glenn with the Jets defense and Nick Caserio with the Texans offensive line. It's completely and entirely neglectful to have these position groups looking this bad. So that's a big thing for me. I kind of can't believe that it happened this way, especially with how good the rest of the team is. But they're completely just squandering away an opportunity to be a good team because they just couldn't figure out how to bring in any talent at the offensive line spot. Cam Robinson did not look good for Minnesota last year. Ed Ingram, I think is his name. He's never been good. And then they got somebody from Cincinnati as well. Or was that Seattle? Point is, they made bad moves. They made really bad moves. And again, I thought they had a plan. They had an idea. They had a vision. And I was completely wrong. The next thing I was wrong about is that Greg Roman will never budge from his running philosophy. I have been tracking Greg Roman's career for a long time because he's just so happened to be in a bunch of teams that I kind of had a level of investment in, right? Starts in San Francisco with Kaepernick. I'm like, okay, cool, running quarterback, right? That's a very run-heavy team. He then goes, I think he goes from there to Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor, again, very run-heavy team, very heavy formations. And I think to myself, okay, running quarterback. Goes to Baltimore, more or less does the same with Lamar. And at this point, I look at Greg Roman as somebody with just such a rigid way of looking at football. He's actually so rigid that he's like the face of something I really hate, which is coaches that completely disregard the need for balance and well-rounded teams. There's some coaches that think that you could have you can have basically any part of your team just or how do I say it? The point is like, for example, in his case, with all those teams, I thought he failed to develop adequate passing attacks, with those teams on purpose. Like, he's not even trying to establish these quarterbacks as throwers. He's just trying to extract the most that he can from them as runners. And I thought that that's just neglecting one part of the game. And there's a lot of coaches that think, whether they want to only pass the ball, or in his case, they only want to run the ball, that there's a bunch of coaches that just neglect the need to be balanced. And I hate those coaches. So for me, I had a long-standing frustration with Greg Roman, and I always thought that Greg Roman is just destined for failure for this reason. But he went to the Chargers, and he is a completely different man. The Chargers barely run the ball, and maybe a part of it is that they can't. I remember last year when J.K. Dobbins went down, I told Genwell and I told the whole community, guys, they've stopped running the ball because they can't run the ball, because they don't have talent anymore at the running back spot. I may have been wrong about that, because I'm realizing maybe Greg Roman got one look at Justin Herbert and just became a different man. This team throws the ball so much. And again, last year, I think I could lie to myself about what the reason was, because J.K. Dobbins went down and they just didn't have good running backs. But now they have a Marion Hampton, who I think is phenomenal. And they have Mekhi Becton, who's a better run blocker than pass blocker. So I thought for sure, hey, this is Greg Roman 101. But no, he's throwing the hell out of the ball. And Justin Herbert is doing a great job. And a part of me, like, without seeing anything drastically new on a football field, because I know what Justin Herbert can do as a talent, part of me rates him higher because of the fact that he was able to make Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh look at things differently. To me, you have to be damn good behind the scenes to inspire change from two old men that think so rigidly, or think as rigidly as these two guys. So that guy has to be doing something right. There has to be something special about what's going on with Herbert, because I've just never seen Greg Roman act like this. We can't run the ball because Bozeman. I hear it. Like, your offensive line better than me, obviously. But, bro, this is so different than, again, I named you 3 teams. I watched all of those teams. I watched the Kaepernick Niners because Kaepernick was a very interesting quarterback during those times, with just how different he was. I watched Tyrod Taylor and the Bills because they're my local team. So all their games are on TV, guaranteed. And then I watched a lot of Lamar's Ravens because I like Lamar Jackson. I'm a fan. So I've watched a lot of Greg Roman football, and I have never seen him act like this. At this point, I'll trust Matlock to start at center. That's hilarious. I'm sure he could do like a below average job. I'm sure. Another place I put a little bit of faith was the Arizona Cardinals. I thought that they had a plan, and I had to put in brackets as an organization, because I actually assigned blame to just about everybody. A bit of a long-standing feeling that I've had about Arizona. I don't think Arizona is a roster with bad players. This regime that they have is 2 years old now? This is their 3rd year, right? Of the Gannon and whatever that GM's name is. He has a weird sounding name. This is their 3rd year. In year 1 of this project, they basically stripped the team down in terms of they had no big contracts, and they had a pretty cheap young team. From that point, I felt like they had such a good opportunity in summer 1 to spend money and make the team better, and they didn't. Year 2, I thought the Cardinals kind of overperformed in their first year under Gannon, even for whatever they were, right? Not that they were a good team or anything, but I thought they overperformed. What a great opportunity to reinforce the good things that you have, add some more strengths, and maybe take a step forward. But they just didn't. They did very little. They spent very little money. They just relied on their draft picks, and they said, we're going to grow internally and develop what we have. Cool. Same kind of a year happens last year, and I think to myself, I'm like, all right, whatever. You did one summer pretty weirdly. Let's see what you do in the next summer. So this last summer, they do the same thing, aside from Josh Sweat, I think. They spent money on one contract. And by the way, I think that was just Josh, what's his name? Yeah, John Gannon saying, I want to go get Josh Sweat from Philly because I know the guy. But, they didn't really make any meaningful additions. Again, other than one guy. Just a lot. They're relying on a lot of internal development. I just don't understand it. you don't have to be this bad. You don't have to build this slowly. I feel like they're building as if this is 2005. But organizations and teams are different now. Teams used to be patient, slow and steady wins the race. Oh my God, Tyreek Hill. Oh, I thought he had more space. Never mind. But they're just moving so slow for no reason. Teams rebuild quickly nowadays. You go from bad to good in 1 to 2 years nowadays. They are taking their sweet time, right? So that's a part of it. I look at the GMs and the GM in terms of how they've built, and I see a lot of problems there. Hold on. I mean, the last contract they had was Julio. Julio was on the Cardinals? How did I forget that? Both Cardinals and both the NFL poverty franchise not spending money. Damn, you're right. You're right. And then the other thing that I would identify as them not having a plan is that Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray, right? But Kyler, at least it shows sometimes. Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. are both excellent football players. I don't know what else to tell you guys, right? Trey McBride did not score a touchdown last year, and Marvin Harrison did not play good last year. I thought it was organizational malpractice for that to be the case because both of these guys are excellent talents. It cannot be this difficult to figure out how to use them. And if I was an offensive staff member, I think the whole offseason would be trying to study how did we get so little from these two excellent talents. And then with Trey McBride, the case wasn't that he wasn't producing, but literally, how does the guy go the whole year without a touchdown? How? But I would figure that the whole summer would be about how did we mess that up last year and how can we avoid doing it this year? And year 2 weeks in, again, small sample size, I feel like that we're just on the same track where neither player is actually meaningfully impacting winning the way they could. Again, Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Paris Johnson, and then I think they have another offensive lineman. These are guys that are good, and there's enough there to figure something out. But they just consistently play like a below average to bad team. And it's just a complete waste. I've seen this organization waste Larry Fitzgerald. I've seen this organization waste Calais Campbell. I've seen this organization waste some good Anquan Bolden years. A big tackle in the old open field by Teron Johnson. And they're just wasting more talent, man. This organization, like Jen Will said, is very much a poverty franchise. Another thing I was wrong about, I got 2 left. The Cowboys wouldn't be able to run the ball. The Cowboys have been averaging, I think, like 5 yards a carry. I mean, most of their carries go to Javonte, but I think Javonte himself is averaging 5 yards a carry. Let me look that up really quickly. Javonte Williams. Season. Yeah, he's averaging 5.4 yards a carry, man. No, those are receiving. No, 4.6 yards a carry. Javonte Williams is averaging 4.6 yards a carry. I would have never expected that. Whenever you guys heard me talk about the Cowboys in the offseason, my takeaway was always that, hey, the offensive line is probably okay, but the running backs are bad. This team will not be able to run the ball and control games. 2 games in, boy, am I wrong. And the thing is, they played the Eagles without Jalen Carter, but the Eagles without Jalen Carter, at worst, are still probably an average team to have to run the football against, and they did well. They then played the Giants, who have Dexter Lawrence and all those defensive ends, and they still ran the ball. So it's not like they've played bad teams inherently, and the Giants might be a bad team, but they, at the very minimum, should be not the easiest team to run on when Dexter Lawrence is on the field. But Javonte Williams is running the ball really well. My analysis to why this might be the case is that they hired their offensive coordinator that they hired is a guy from Arizona by the name of Clayton Adams, I think. And in Arizona, I think he was the offensive line coach. So their offensive coordinator, the second most important offensive brain in the organization, is an offensive line guy. So I'm thinking his scheme must be really good, or he just must know how to get the best out of a ground game. Because I think about Arizona, and I always felt like they got more out of James Conner than they should have. So I'm thinking this Clayton Adams fellow, he just must know how to organize a running game. Because, again, this is kind of shocking to me. But they've done really, really well. The last thing I'm going to talk about being wrong about is the Giants and Ravens having great defenses. Yeah, I thought both these teams on paper had a lot of talent. The Giants added obviously Abdul Carter and Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo to a roster that already had some good defensive pieces. On the other side of things, the Ravens added Malachi Starks, Jair Alexander, Chidobe Awuzie, and the edge Mike Green. They added those pieces to again a roster that already had the likes of Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Roquan Smith, Nnamdi Madubuike. Like they had a lot of talent and they added more. The Giants had a decent amount of talent and they added more. So I thought both these teams would have great defenses, and I thought both these teams' defenses would provide a floor. But the Ravens gave up 40 to the Bills, which is not like inherently a problem. But the way they gave up those 40 was a problem, especially when they couldn't get a stop at the end when they needed a stop. And then on the other side of things, like they gave up over 300 yards to the Browns in a game that didn't even have that much garbage time. That was a one-score game for at least 40 minutes. So yeah, these teams' defenses are not playing that good so far, and that's definitely a surprise to me. I'm kind of not in touch with the reason for Baltimore. The Ravens fans that I know make it seem like it's a defensive coordinator issue with Zachary Orr, because I just can't envision it being a talent issue. And then in the Giants case, again, it has to be a defensive coordinator issue or a coaching issue because, again, I don't think it can be the talent. So yeah, those are kind of my reasons. But I was definitely wrong about the Giants and the Ravens. I'm low-key rooting for the Finns to get up in this game. I mean, yeah, that's rooting for chaos. And then in your case, like honestly, if you're a Chargers fan, you got to root for the 1 seed. But yeah, people, those are the things that I was wrong about. That is what I came to talk about as far as the my own takes go. I am now going to move into the week 3 preview part of the stream. So I got my guys backstage with me that I'm going to give me a second that I'm going to get into the stream. We got King and we got Westbrook season, which is Genwell. There we go. But yeah, we're going to do game previews now. Where's the banner? But yeah, before we do that, what are you guys saying, man? How are you guys doing?
I actually just finished watching a documentary about, the singer David?
Of who?
David, the singer.
Not really. I'm not familiar.
No, so basically, this singer David, they found his car and they found a decomposing body in it.
Wait, David Bowie?
No, David, D4VD.
Oh no! I'd never heard of that. No.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
What's
crazy.
crazy was the girl was like 14 and he's like 19. So yeah.
Jeez. Oh shit. Okay, I just realized what this is about because again, I didn't look up and I realized that the Dolphins scored. So Jalen Waddle scored a touchdown. Damn. This game is 14-14 and I still don't give a shit. That's tough. That's definitely tough. But yeah, we'll get into the previews. Should we start with Rams Eagles? Why not? Let me see if I can pull up NFL Stat Uni.
Is King backstage or?
No, I got him to the screen, but he must have walked away because I was
He might be sleeping already.
Damn, he might have
The fuck you
crashed.
talking about, fool?
Damn, he said to hell with that.
Oh yeah, actually, speaking of your Serbian King, yeah, I'm talking about Jokic. Yeah, I watched the Euro teams last night. It was pretty cool. Like Kendrick Nunn, he sent I think it was Sterling Brown to the floor, then he made a dunk.
Who does he play for?
Kendrick Nunn,
Yeah.
Panathinaikos.
Jeez. How do I get this
Yeah,
bigger?
and then for Patson, it was on top of my head, it was Dwayne Washington
Uh-huh.
and Sterling Brown.
Jeez.
So, have y'all been hearing about this Trey Young beef? Because I'm kind of interested because I'm not really into it. I want to know what's been happening.
I haven't. I just saw that he told Pat Bev to like stop talking about All Stars, and Pat Bev said, "Yo, you haven't made the playoffs as much as me," and I'm like, "This is a weird beef." But Time to Shine says you low key watching this game or not really. I have it
No,
on,
no.
but I'm not really locked in like that.
I am locked. I am locked in a little bit.
Okay, I feel like it looked like Buffalo was gonna stomp Miami out until Prater missed that field goal, and that kind of gave Miami some momentum.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's just like a Thursday divisional game, but this Buffalo defense looks a little shaky.
Also, I think just generally Buffalo's defense might just be shaky. Actually, you know what? We can just briefly talk about even this game. Uh, so for people who haven't seen me reference this website before, this website does a basic statistic thing in like 6 categories. So passing, rushing, points scored, pass defense. This is run defense, even though the label isn't there, and then points allowed, and then just compares the two teams. So like the blue point is for Buffalo, the white point is for Miami, as shown by these two colors. So I mean, not to really look into this too much, but I just like to put this here so people get a feel for how these teams are performing. Because again, like injuries impact these things, and there's only 2 games. The sample size is small. Point is, the Bills are up 11.5 in terms of the spread, and they have statistically outperformed Miami by a lot. So everything about this says blowout. The reason why I think it's a close game is because all the chaos factors in football are at play right now. You have a divisional matchup, which introduces the potential for chaos. You have a short week, so only a few days of rest. That introduces the possibility for chaos. There is both of those things active right now. You have the additional factor of like, I mean, Miami knows it's dead realistically, but they're, you never know when they might have a like, let's fight for pride kind of a thing where, there's no pressure on us. Buffalo's much better than us, blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's like, there's just potential to be chaos for there to be chaos. I still think Buffalo is going to put belt to ass at some point. It's just delayed. But yeah, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
do you know what I think about why this has been like a lot closer?
What about it?
I think it's because the NFL was kind to Miami for this
Yeah.
game not to be during like December time.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah,
Yeah. So I heard somebody talk about that as well, because both of these teams have pretty extreme home field advantages, but they almost canceled out the advantages this year, because the game is in Buffalo at the beginning of the year where the weather's not that bad, and then the game is in Miami at the end of the year when the weather's not that bad. So the NFL schedule maker is definitely blessed both these teams. But Time to Shine, man, let us know what your bets are. I'm curious. But yeah, that's this game. The next game, the first game we can talk about is Rams Eagles. So when you pull up the stats comparison here, there are actually teams that have some pretty similar categories. The Rams are just significantly better in passing production and the points allowed as a whole. Now, I think the points allowed there is more a product of the fact that the Rams have played a Houston team that has no offensive line, and a Titans team that is very young / not good. But I do think the passing disparity is definitely fair. Like the Rams passing attack looks a lot better than the Eagles passing attack. So you're talking about a Rams team that has played better ball than the Eagles as a whole going into this matchup. But again, it is early in the year, so that doesn't really tell the whole story.
so
Go ahead.
so let's say like if the Rams were to win this, where do you think they need to win it?
Okay, so here's kind of what I think their issue is. I thought when we played the Rams last year in LA that told the story of these two teams. I think the playoff game didn't tell the story because the weather just made the game a mess. And I don't think you got to see either team really play like how they are. Turnovers really made the game chaotic. The Eagles' passing attack between Hurts and his knee issue that he got in the middle of the game. It's just like that game was not representative of these two teams. The story that I think the regular season matchup showed is that the Rams' defensive front is small. And because they're small, the Eagles ran all over them. The Eagles ran for 300 rushing yards in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, if you remember, before it started to snow, Hurts ran for a 45-yard touchdown and Saquon ran for a 30-yard touchdown. No, I think he ran for like a 50-yard touchdown. So the point is, I actually don't think the Rams were able to stop us on the ground last year. Then I think when it started snowing, that actually helped them. When it comes to this matchup, the big change that the Rams made, I'm sure you'll have something to say about this. They got Poona Ford, who's definitely a run-stopping specialist. So they're basically the same team last year. The Eagles are basically the same team this year. The difference is Poona Ford when it comes to running the ball. So we're going to see what he can do to change things. Obviously, the Rams are catching Philly at a time where their offense hasn't really looked smooth in any way. Like Saquon really hasn't looked like Saquon yet this year. Not in terms of his like physical ability, just the running game isn't working the same. But this might be an opportunity for the running game to start working the same. But yeah, the other thing to keep in mind with the Rams is that they lost what's his name, Ahkello Witherspoon, to injury, and they replaced him with Emmanuel Forbes. I don't know if you guys remember Emmanuel Forbes. He was the Commanders' cornerback. AJ Brown, I think, got about 160 yards against him in one game
Right.
with the Commanders.
I thought Forbes was in Chargers.
Emmanuel Forbes?
Oh, who did we sign?
I'm not sure. Oh, you guys got Clelin Ferrell.
No, like, hang on.
Emmanuel Forbes is the LA Rams starting corner now.
No, like we've signed like a corner from some other team.
Right. So yeah, Forbes is the corner, and for those who don't know, AJ Brown got 150 yards on him in one game when he was on Washington, and then in college, Devontae Smith got 200 yards against him in one game. So I say that to say that that should probably be a weakness. I would hope that the Eagles' offense gets going. Jared Verse is a monster. Like, I think if we try to throw the ball too much, that won't be a good idea. If we have a balanced offense, I think we'll do well. But yeah, if you start, your initial question was, what do the Rams have to do to beat the Eagles? I think they have to target Adoree Jackson with Puka Nacua, and I think that's definitely possible. And I think defensively, they just need Poona Ford to work his magic. That's the path to winning for the Rams. For me, the Eagles' path to winning is pretty simple. You just got to make sure you establish yourself on the ground the way you did in both the matchups last year when it wasn't snowing like a blizzard. Geez, what was that sound?
Sorry, I got it. I got Emmanuel Forbes confused with Benjamin Sanders.
Yeah. I don't blame. Yeah, both players came from Washington. I don't blame you. But yeah, Eagles' path to winning, definitely establish the running game, and then defensively, this is the least mobile quarterback that we faced, right? Dak, if you remember, he escaped a few sacks when we played Dallas. Pat Mahomes obviously escaped a few sacks when we played the Chiefs. Stafford does not have that ability. So I think the Eagles' path to winning is the pass rushers have to get to Stafford before he gets to throw the ball to Puka and Devontae. And we got to run the ball. So that's how I feel about Rams Eagles. I got the Eagles winning and covering. But we'll see what happens.
I do have
What do you have?
Yeah, I do have Emmanuel Forbes in my Madden franchise save.
Jeez, good. Best of luck with that, man. Best of luck.
It's like third CB, sir.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad. I have Hill over 5.5 receptions. I don't know what he has so far. I think he has like 2 that I've seen. Kincaid touchdown, Waddle touchdown. Oh, you cashed out for those then. Bills 12 and 25. I still think this will happen. Tua over 243. What is he at now? I don't feel great about this one.
No, I think it's around 110. I'd say.
Small bets on the first touchdowns. Okay. Man, Time to Shine's bets are looking solid so far. Okay. Next matchup we can look at, we got Colts and Titans. Where's the chart for that matchup? Colts Titans. As you can see, the chart disparity is huge here. When I talk about the Titans not being a good team, bro, look how low their performances are, like their performance stats are in all these categories. And you talk about the Colts having a good year so far. Look how high theirs are.
I mean, you can say like the Titans,
What's
they
that?
haven't conceded a lot.
What's that?
Like basing on this chart, like they haven't conceded a lot.
No, I think the defensive stats being low is a bad thing. Like I think the good
What do you mean,
defensive stats. Like if you just flip the low in the points allowed doesn't mean that they let a low amount of points in, or like they've conceded a low amount of points. It means they're ranking poorly in comparison to the rest of the league.
Right.
So yeah, it's just like the Titans as a whole haven't really performed, and the Colts have. So that's a pretty big disparity this year. I think the reason the Colts are favored by 4.5 and not a big number, again, the chaos factors are at play. This is a divisional matchup. It's on the road, and the Titans are 0-2 while the Colts are 2-0. So there's that kind of like gap in motivation and desperation. So I ultimately think the quality of the teams are going to prevail here. I got the Colts winning and then covering the 4.5. I think. Hold on, King is snoring. Damn. I muted. But yeah, I got the Titans, the Colts covering this for sure. You got any thoughts about this game?
I think. Well, my bold take is Danny Dimes gonna throw 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. Okay, they're gonna be hooping on Tennessee if that happens. They're definitely gonna be hooping on Tennessee. Okay, we'll go to the next game. Steelers and Patriots. So I think I remember this chart kind of looking funny. Yeah,
Okay, actually, one more question.
Yeah.
Who do you think's in a better place going forward right now? The Titans or the Panthers?
Titans. I would say you know what? You know what? Yeah, I would still say Titans because I really like Tedero McMillan, but I think quarterback is obviously more important. And I can't say I know for sure that Cam Ward is great, but I know more. Like, there's less negative reasons for Cam Ward than there are for Bryce Young. So that's just what I'm thinking about.
Either way, both franchises they're not winning Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
Both franchises are definitely in a tough spot. I hear what you're saying. But yeah, Steelers and Patriots, hilariously, bro, again, part of the reason the Patriots numbers might be higher than they should be is because they played the Raiders and the Dolphins, 2 teams that I don't think are good at all. But at the end of the day, they do have a lot of better stats than Pittsburgh. There's obviously the huge gap in, I think that's rushing defense. But again, like, you got the Steelers up by 1.5. I think a lot of that might be reputation. The Steelers haven't really played well at all. And again, the Patriots, I think they're very untested. But yeah, kind of an interesting matchup.
I feel like it's gonna be more than 1.5. Like, it might even be like a 8.5, something like that.
Oh, that's what you expected? Yeah, no, I mean, the fact that it's 1.5, that I think that kind of confirms what the stats are showing from the standpoint of, like, it's hard to really sit here and say with chest that Pittsburgh is significantly better than New England. They have not shown that. So I think, again, that's the main indication here. Sorry, I'm trying to find a better stream for Dolphins Bills. But it is what it is. I'll have to figure this out later. Yeah, in terms of my thoughts on this game, I do think Pittsburgh gets this win. I think New England's statistics
Is
are mainly a
Christian
product.
Gonzalez still out?
I think he's playing. I think that's the main reason that their stats look kind of respectable. But yeah, all things considered, Pittsburgh's the better team. And that's why I'm winning. Even though it is in New England and they
Yeah,
are wearing
just
their
for,
really cool
you know,
quarterbacks.
just for King's sake, like you did say, like this Steelers team, they look good on paper because like they have a lot of veteran former stars,
Yeah.
but they're not that good anymore. Like
Nope.
going forward, I don't know.
Not at all, man. Not at all. So again, I do think they escape it this week, but man, if they lose to the Patriots, sound the alarm bells. If they lose to the Patriots, they should be trading those vets, by the way. But yeah, I got the Steelers covering. DK Metcalf, 2 touchdowns. Drake May, 2 picks. Next game we'll go to Jets and Buccaneers. So where is that game? Jets and Buccaneers. So here you can see there's some similarities, but the Buccaneers defense has these 2 standout categories.
I think it's gonna be an easy win for the Bucks.
For sure, because Justin Fields isn't playing. Tyrod Taylor is. Ever thought of doing a red zone stream? You know what? Me and Winter Surfer were thinking of doing one on Sarcasm City. I'll probably do it at some point. You know what? I'll figure it out. I'll probably do it. It would be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'd have a blast. It would be chaotic and tiring.
I don't really.
What was that?
I said I don't really. I mean, I have the Red Zone games like on the background, but I usually watch the Prem during that time.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I guess even the Prem, it maybe runs into like the first couple hours of Red Zone, but remember, Red Zone runs all the way until the end of the second set of games. So yeah, I'll do it at some point. But yeah, back to this game. Tyrod Taylor's not playing, so that kind of seals the fate of the game.
Speaking of Prem, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
No, I didn't. The UCL games happen during work times, so like it's real tough to watch UCL at work and like really see what happens. So I actually missed all the Champions League games. I had to watch highlights.
I haven't watched the highlights, but I heard it was it was Bayern 3, Chelsea 2, was it?
Chelsea won. I think they had a onside goal. Ooh, Allen scrambles. Damn, man. Josh Allen's so cold. Picks up 19 yards. And then a fight after the play. Not quite a fight, just a little shoving match. But yeah, no. Todd Bowles against a backup quarterback. Todd Bowles is winning that matchup. The Florida Heat against a team from not anywhere close to the South. I'm taking the Florida Heat in that matchup. So this is definitely a big W coming up for Tampa Bay, a 2-0 team that I expect to move to 3-0. Again, I think the Jets offense looked horrible last week, and I think they're going up against a better defense. So give me the Bucks winning big here. Next game.
Oh, nearly.
Damn, Kincaid goes down at the 1. The next game we got Commanders and Raiders. So again, you look at this matchup and you actually see that these teams, again, the Commanders have not looked the best so far. So the stats kind of show that the big thing in this game is that they don't have Mariota playing, and I don't really think their offense was clicking that well with Jaden. So I actually expect the Raiders to win this game, provided that Mariota is the quarterback. I expect this to go poorly for the Commanders. From the last I saw of Mariota in Philadelphia, he looked horrible. Like he looked beyond washed. And now he's gonna go up against a Raiders team that's what the hell is Josh Allen doing? He should have just thrown it away.
That
Yeah,
is a
you have him
flag.
going against a Raiders team that's not horrible. I definitely expect the Raiders to get this W. What do you think?
I mean, just to have some spice in the division. Yeah, give me the Raiders. No, actually, yeah, as much as the you supported by so like scummy, like
Yeah.
I like the Raiders.
Nah, for sure. Like a very interesting team, very interesting organization and fan base. But again,
But
Marcus
yeah, like
Mariota is really
also at
bad.
the same time, I look, I did think like the Seahawks like dumping Pete Carroll like that, like I thought it was like a pretty dog move, but now I'm seeing why they dump him off. Like,
Wow, what have you seen from the Raiders that makes you feel that way?
I mean, for starters, it isn't like like the whole the whole problem, but just for example, like bringing Geno Smith.
Eh, I do think that's a valid reason if that's your reason. Like I don't think an organization has any business paying Geno Smith nowadays. So I'm definitely with you for that. Um and then yeah, like if you look at what they've done with the team is lacking talent in a lot of ways, I think. So definitely not a well put together team in year one. We'll see what happens year two, but also like he's 74, so like how long could his vision
Yeah,
be?
I
But yeah,
mean, not even that. Like, we're I mean, obviously, like we're hoping that he's gonna coach for more years, but we're also
yeah,
hoping he's gonna live for more years.
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Um, but yeah, I definitely have Pete Carroll going to 2-1 after this matchup, but I do think they're gonna get lucky playing a very garbage Mariota. So that's the story for that game. Um, Panthers. No, hold on. What's the next banner that I have? I got the Raiders covering. Panthers, Falcons. Again, you look at the charts here. Very big disparity. Falcons 5.5 on the road. I think this is very similar to Colts and Titans, where one team is playing much better than the other in terms of performance. But it's just that it's a divisional matchup, and the better team is on the road. So that's why the spread isn't too crazy. But I got the Falcons winning this game for sure. Uh, it's a lot of background noise, bro. But yeah, I got the Falcons winning for sure. They're much better than the Panthers. I'll be very disappointed if they lose this game. I see their defense giving the Panthers a lot of struggle, and then I think their running game gets enough production for them offensively. Like I said, they have no business losing this game. They already lost one divisional game to the Bucks, so I don't think they can afford to drop two divisional games in a row. I got the Panthers winning this one for sure.
Maybe I'm just a bit surprised by the spread.
You expected it to be more or less?
Yeah, probably more.
Yeah, interesting, bro. Again, with the Colts, it's just these road divisional teams. Vegas is expecting some chaos, and I don't blame Vegas for sure. Oh man, the next matchup though, I'm super excited for the next matchup. We got Bengals and Vikings, the backup quarterback bowl, which I think hilariously makes the data almost meaningless on the offensive side of the ball. Both these teams had struggling offenses. Yeah, both these teams have struggling offenses, but you can expect them to struggle even more with backup quarterbacks. I think the defenses will tell the story in this game, and I simply just trust Brian Flores more. So I have the Vikings winning for that reason. I also kind of just cannot fathom the idea of the Bengals being 3-0 with only one in 1.25 games of Joe Burrow. No way. So I definitely have the Vikings getting this win and covering the 2.5. Betting on Carson Wentz in Big 2025 does feel very scary. But yeah, that seems that doesn't feel good. But at the same time, the alternative is betting on Jake Browning. So Give me Carson Wentz. Jeez, I can't believe I'm saying that. Give me Carson Wentz. But again, the main reason is the defense. I expect Brian Flores to cook Jake Browning more than Al Golden, who is the Bengals defensive coordinator, more than Al Golden cooks Carson Wentz. I see my guy African King Academy in the chat. Shout out to you, bro. I think I saw you on X. Follow me. So I think I hit the follow back button. But yeah, big up to you, man. The game has been surprisingly.
I don't know.
The game's been
Maybe I'm
surprisingly not
going.
horrible.
Maybe I'm going against you in this. I might have the Bengals.
Interesting. What are your thoughts?
Maybe it's a coaching thing. Like maybe because like the Bengals, they've been they've been at it for like a fair while.
Yeah, I guess, but bro, for me in this coaching matchup, I'm taking Vikings coaches over Bengals coaches. But it's truthfully, if what you're saying is that Jake Browning and Zach Taylor have a better like connection because they've spent more time together than Carson Wentz and Kevin O'Connell, I do hear that. That does make sense because Carson Wentz only signed for the Vikings at the end of training camp. So he's only been with Kevin O'Connell for 3 weeks. So you know what? I actually do hear that point. That's a valid point. I'm still taking Brian Flores. That guy is a maniac. He's going to blitz the life of Jake Browning.
I mean, obviously, go Vikings because I can't. With the Bengals like going 3-0, I didn't think that way.
Yeah. But yeah, man, give me the Vikings in this matchup. Next matchup we're gonna look at is Texans and Jaguars. Okay, Texans and Jaguars. Hilariously, guys, the stats say that up to this point, the Jaguars have outperformed the Texans, and it's not even close. You look at these Texans offensive stats, completely horrible. They've done a really poor job offensively. The Jaguars, on the other hand, Liam Cohen looks like a really good coach. Him being a good offensive coach for sure, but him being a good offensive coach, I think is actually exposing Trevor Lawrence because it's kind of showing you that he's the problem. As far as this matchup goes, I'm kind of surprised that it's only 1.5 considering the, again, disparity in performance, but I imagine that it's the case because Houston is 0-2 and they're factoring for some desperation.
Gone down.
What's that?
Bill's secondary's gone down.
Yeah, Benford. That's I think that's their best corner, so that's not good. But yeah, man, the stats show that Jacksonville's better. Obviously, Houston is desperate, but they are on the road. This is a sticky one for me. I'm having a hard time figuring out how I feel. I think I'm going to take Houston, again, just because they got to avoid 0-3. Like, the chances of you making the playoffs after 0-2, I think, are like 12%. That dropped to, like, I think 4 if you're 0-3. So the chances are already slim, but they get much slimmer. So I got to go Houston.
No, not unless you like Mike Tomlin.
That's true. Mike Tomlin, he's going to find those 9 wins. Death taxes and the Steelers having 9 wins. But yeah, give me the Texans for that reason. But I don't feel incredibly confident about it. Next game, Packers and Browns. Where is Packers Browns? I think this disparity was pretty big too. Actually, you know what? Damn, Browns defense, some good stats here. Offense looking shaky. So when you see this offense having very bad rushing stats, but good passing stats, I think that tells the story of a team being down a lot and then constantly having to throw the ball. They also haven't had Quinshon Judkins for most of the year in terms of him playing a low amount of snaps. So you expect Judkins to help. But I think the story that this shows is that the Browns are not playing like trash. We expect them to play like trash at some point because I think the quarterback play is just going to frustrate the whole team. But they're not playing trash yet. The other story that this tells is that the Packers defense has been dominant, but their offense has only been good. So when I think about a game like this, my take on this game is I think the Browns offense is going to struggle. Like, I think the Browns offense is going to score less than 10 points. I also don't think the Packers offense is going to go crazy. I don't think this is going to be a 30-7 kind of a game. I think the Packers are going to score like a nice little 24. I think the Browns will probably score like, I don't know, 9, maybe 7. But yeah, I don't think the Packers are just going to run this score up like some people might think. I definitely have the Packers winning by 7.5. But again, this disparity here in production is not that crazy.
Oh my god, nearly.
By the way, so did they? Does it look like Benford is okay?
Uh, I actually have the commentary on mute.
Oh, okay. Real one. Broncos and Chargers, man. I'll let you go first on this one. We have our resident Chargers fan. The stats show that the Chargers are basically on par or better than the Broncos in every category but rushing, and that's because they don't rush the ball.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it's only been 2 games in, but stopping the Broncos run. I mean, you gotta be honest here. Like we've gone up against like a fairly good rush offense. Like you got
Yeah,
Chiefs, and you have the Ashton Genty. Like
right.
so we haven't been defending mugs. Like they've been pretty good. And what like with Ashton Genty, like he had like a good start to the game, but we kept him quiet for maybe 2 quarters, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, obviously, like it'll be interesting to see how long we can go with this like 3-4 receiver offense. Like like how consistent it'll be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does it mean like Herbert's gonna be averaging like 250 passing yards this season? Like, it'll be great,
Right.
but I don't think that's gonna be the case. But yeah,
Um, I think the Chargers are the better team. I think Denver needs this game a little bit more. If they lose and they go 2 games behind the Chargers, and now the Chargers are basically 2 games up on their competitors, because I don't count the Raiders as competitors, um, that'd be a pretty big statement from the Chargers. And I think avoiding
yeah,
that would be big
I
for
do
Denver.
have the Chargers because obviously it's at SoFi, so
Yeah. Um, And I guess the benefit of it being at SoFi is just that it's not in Denver, because it's not like SoFi is much of a home field advantage, but it's also not playing on the road, so it still is much better.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think like I said, the Chargers are just playing better football. Denver needs the game more. It's a divisional game. Um, you know what? Okay, give me the Chargers. Close one. They win by 3. Barely cover the spread.
But
Uh,
yeah,
African
I
King
have the
Academy said,
Chargers.
"Go
I have
ahead."
the Chargers. I think it's gonna be 27-24.
27-24. Okay, you also have them by 3. Interesting. I don't think Browns win until they start Shador Sanders. Perfect timing. They definitely need to change. They're definitely going to have to play a young quarterback at some point. Unfortunately, I think they're going to start Dylan Gabriel first. And then if Dylan Gabriel fails, I wonder if they would have the balls to play 2 rookies in 1 year. But yeah, man, I think Judkins is going to help. We'll see if their receivers can produce. But I almost don't want Shador to see the field until they have good receivers, because I feel like that would mess things up. But yeah, man, we need. Hopefully, they change it up at some point, because I don't want to watch Flacco in 2025, man. Next game, Saints and Seahawks. So I looked at the weather for these games. I think this game was expected to be a pretty rainy game. If you look at the stats here, actually some pretty similar teams in terms of production. So the 7.5 is really interesting. I think people kind of just assume that the Saints have this record because of the two teams they played. Sorry, not this record, but this production because they played the Cardinals and the Panthers. But it's not like the Seahawks played amazing teams either. They played the Niners and the Steelers. I think I have the Saints covering. I think I have Seattle winning. But if you think about this becoming a rainy game, advantage goes to the team with the rushing attack. And honestly, I think the Saints have a better offensive line and running back. So I think the Saints are a little bit too shit as a team, but I have them covering this. I do not have the Seahawks winning by 7.5 by any means. Give me the Saints covering this one. And you know what? Maybe even winning. I'm a little bit less confident about that. Actually, you know what? No. Seahawks win a close game. But yeah, man, in the rain, give me Alvin Kamara and the Saints offensive line over Zach Charbonnet and the Seahawks offensive line. But what do you think about this matchup?
I do have like a couple of friends that goes for the Saints, and
Interesting.
to be honest, sometimes I do tune into I think I tuned in for like 10 minutes for that Saints game last week. I mean they were in the game until like
Yeah.
late, like they were like making the stops. It's just the offense. Obviously they didn't have the franchise quarterback yet. That quarterback room is a mess. Like
Yeah.
they drafted like a 26 years old quarterback. Like yeah, it's just obviously that's gonna sort it out by itself. Like in the future,
Yeah.
like and obviously it's not going to be Arch Manning, but
I mean,
yeah,
I don't think Arch is going to be in the draft this year. And people said that was because of like what the Mannings do. It might just even be because he's not good enough yet. I think he might need another year in college to improve as Tua throws the ball to nobody. So I don't know what the Saints are going to do.
but
But
yeah,
to be honest,
yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm with you. Like I
what's that?
have the Saints covering this line.
Yeah, I got the Saints covering for sure. The other thing is that if you watch people's breakdowns, Spencer Rattler does not look garbage. He obviously
No,
doesn't
he
look
doesn't.
great,
Yeah,
but he does not look garbage. So yeah, man, I don't know. I got the Saints covering this one. Cardinals.
he's just a
Go ahead.
let's say I don't know if this is fair to say, but he's just a less expensive Derek Carr.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it. But the less expensive part is very important. That's very important.
Yeah,
Um, so if you look at the comparison here for Cardinals Niners, it looks like the Niners generally are slightly better performing, and that's including Mac Jones playing. And if you think about it, the Cardinals played such easy opponents with the Saints and the Panthers. So I think I have the Niners winning this even with Mac Jones. The Cardinals have looked that kind of unimpressive to me. Yeah, I'm trying to think about it. This does include
nah,
Mac
yeah,
Jones' performance. Yeah, I think I have the Niners, man. What about
yeah.
you?
Give me the Niners. Like to be honest, like
Mac Jones coming in and winning 2 games. What the hell? 3-0
oh
Niners with 2 games of Mac Jones. Hey, we got Daniel in the chat. Hey, Colts going 3-0, man. Book it. Cowboys Bears. Okay, this is the other game that I saw that's expected to be a weather game. There's going to be a lot of rain. Hilariously, these teams have had pretty similar outputs so far. Both teams have horrible defenses, and both teams have kind of, all right offenses. My opinion on this game is that I think the ground game will win if it's a rain game, and if I'm thinking about ground games here, give me the Cowboys ground game over the Bears ground game. I know the stats look similar up here, but in terms of eye test, the Cowboys rushing game looks better than the Bears. So for that reason, I have the Cowboys winning and covering. If it's not a weather game, then it's a little bit more up in the air. But in the rain, Give me Javonte Williams over DeAndre Swift, and I cannot believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe I'm saying that.
What's the record in the Cowboys division?
In the division?
Yeah.
Okay, so Giants 0-2, and I expect them to go 0-3. Commanders 1-1, and I expect them to go 1-2 because Mariota's playing. And then Cowboys 1-2, I expect them to go 2-1. And then Eagles are 2-0. I expect them to go 3-0. We got the Rams after very
I'm
tough.
just trying to find a scenario that the Cowboys make it.
The playoffs?
Yeah. I mean, this early, like, it's not really a stretch because, like, they're gonna go 2-1.
Well, yeah, I mean, also there's not like three amazing teams for the wild cards, so there is going to be one team that makes the wild card that's not that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Cowboys winning by over 1.5 and covering. What's the other matchup that we have? Okay, Chiefs and Giants, Sunday Night
Whoa.
Football. No, so you look at the stats here. Chiefs producing way better than the Giants, despite the fact that both teams are 0-2. So I do have the Chiefs winning and covering the 6.5. Just the better team. No way they go 0-3. If they do, that would be a complete disaster. My issue with the Giants is that this Giants have a lot of guys that have done a lot of failing for a long time in recent history. If you think about Russell Wilson, Brian Daboll, a lot of the players that they've had for a while, because despite the fact that they haven't really produced as a team, they have a lot of continuity. So I do not expect them to stop the Chiefs from going 1-2.
Even just, let's say you take off, like, some personals from the Chiefs. Like,
yeah,
I have the Chiefs because, it's just the coaching battle.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think Daboll's a good
I
head
agree.
coach.
I agree. I do think he's a problem for them. So yeah, Chiefs definitely winning. And then the last game, Monday Night Football, we got Lions and Ravens. Stats show that the Lions have slightly produced better than the Ravens. If you've heard me talk about these teams, well, the Lions specifically, I talked about how very hard to get a feel for where they're at as a team because they played a really good team and then a really bad team. So it's just kind of hard to gauge things. You guys remember Peter being on the channel on Sunday talking about how good the Ravens' history is against Jared Goff. So I'm going to lean on that pretty heavily. I got them beating the Lions and covering the 4.5 point spread.
You know what? Because there are conference rivals. Like, give me the Lions.
Okay. You're going anti-Harbaugh.
Once the first Harbaugh.
What's that?
Once the first
Harbaugh? Didn't it happen last year?
Yeah, but this year, do we play them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's see. Ravens schedule.
Okay, no.
No, you don't.
I mean, we'll probably see them in the playoffs.
It's definitely possible. Like I said, heavily relying on history here. What I do find interesting, though, is that if you compare this to the last time they played the Lions, the Ravens played a very good Lions team and beat up on them pretty good a couple of years ago. I do think that the Ravens defense is not really playing the kind of football that they were back then. The Lions offense also isn't playing the same kind of football either. But yeah, all things considered, I'm definitely taking the Ravens. But yeah, okay, before we wrap up, because the game looks like it's about to be a 2-score game pretty soon. Before we wrap up, any thoughts on any of these games?
I just heard I am taking care of myself before the Chargers game. Otherwise, I might end up in the hospital.
Nah, man, you'll be fine. You'll be
But
fine.
yeah, like I can't wait for that game.
It'll be a good game.
Like
I
it's
do
not
think
even
you
just
guys will win.
that. Like if you take out the name Chargers and Broncos, like that's already like a rivalry in itself. But if you take it out, there's Harbaugh versus Payton.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um,
And
I-
obviously, as much as as much as I hate them, I would rather have the Broncos ownership than our one.
yeah, of course, Broncos ownership, they have deep pockets, but also they seem to be giving Sean Payton quite a bit of freedom, and I don't think he's entirely repaid them on that. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
true.
an issue. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there, people. Shout out to everybody watching live. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys again on Sunday night for Chiefs against Giants. We talked about the games, so enjoy the games on Sunday, and then we'll be back to recap all of them during Sunday Night Football. We'll probably do a season prediction, and then we'll also enjoy the game as well. So I'll see you guys until then. In the meantime, I'm gonna let Stephen A. Smith convey to you what's going on.
Y'all take it easy. I'm out.